right? But they don't tell you that Jesus is Isis and Cleopatra was the seated Isis of the day. Because that solves a whole lot of the historical anomaly. She was fighting patriarchs from Rome. But this is the continuation of a Babylonian assault on the world using sin magic. That's why they call everybody sinners in the Christian church. And the sin is the blood rites and the child sacrifice rituals that's being done behind the scenes, and you are reinforcing it in the forefront by turning the blind eye to it. You're changing the energy. They're using these pedophile priest cults um, to subjugate the people by ruining the children. They know exactly who to scar, how to scar them, and why they scarring them that way. Some of them, they just beat them into submission. They want to inflict what's called learned helplessness on them. So they can't defend themselves now because they so beat down, they broken. They just lay there and take it, right? So what takes place in Egypt was the transferring and the fighting for power that began in Greece under Alexander the Great. They were following information brought to them from the Ottoman Empire through Macedonians. So when you start looking at how they was moving across the land in history books, it's clear as day the same people was controlling everything that's been controlling it, where they at, why they hiding there, and why ain't nobody going in there to get them. Right? Now, that had to be done by the Earth Alliance. The Earth Alliance was responsible to locating all of them and weeding them out like the root to a pimple. Then once Earth go back to balance, women wanted men so that the men can be masculine and the women can be her highest degree of feminine. Because the masculine protects that energy with his life. Because that's how he has the experience called heaven on earth in this life, not the next one, not after you die, not after you get done suffering unnecessary suffering. Once you realize what's going on, the men become more masculine when they realize that the only reason they here is so the women can be feminine. They wanted to be in a feminine energy. This is called ceremonial high magic. By walking in the spirit of life, you performing a ritual with your sisters. And all of the men go to a euphoria, right? And the euphoria makes the man stand up to a different level. So when they see the men doing the work and they know, they say, oh, I can rest now. They know the chief they've been waiting on because they say to themselves, I've been waiting on this one. He ain't like the rest.
Right. So the word out here on these spiritual streets, okay, that the women were here first before the creation of man. So can you go into
That's been proven through fossil records, through genetics. The Y chromosome is an X with an atrophied appendage, meaning it's lost a sizable portion of its genetic stock. The mitochondrial regulates the energy to the Y chromosome, or else we wouldn't be no men. Because he has to get it from his mother. The higher your spiritual rank, the stronger your mother's mitochondrial responsibility. Then you become the beekeeper, the king bee, protecting the hive from all of these rogue hornets, masquerading to be king bees, and all the time they queen bees. drag queen bees, that is, pedophile priest cults, masquerading as righteous men while they defile children behind the pulpit in the name of their Jesus Christ and Lord and Savior. In order to scorn the name of ISIS, they change it to J. And this is why they say, I'll make you fisher of men. When I turn his I into a J, will you figure it out?
Well, okay. So these men in these skirts, honey, where they had come from? Like, what culture is this? What part in history is this where these men
The
in these
war effort, it's a war effort by the priests of the god Ninnersin. By them practicing the money magic rituals of Ninnersin and having us follow along with the Babylonian sex magic of Ninnersin and the Babylonian money magic where we surrender all our power to somebody else to hold our money on our behalf. Right? These are spells of government. So you look at it like the bees that learn how to control the pheromones can control the hive. Right? So if the bee that's changing the frequency, that's going to cause the interruption in the pheromone balance as is told to the next generation of bees. It's the same with the mitochondrial scanning the Y chromosome. This is why Elijah Muhammad say the prayer of the nation is answered through the womb of the women. Right? And that's why you watch what you say while you're pregnant, because you calling forth either the scourge of earth or the saviors of mankind. But that's up to the mothers to decide how do they want to produce for the future. Because the mitochondrial adjusts. It's the energy source. And all energy ties directly back to source. Source energy. Women control it, men inherit it. We become the defenders of the ones who carry the birthright of the earth rights. That's the ones who hold the power over the frequencies of mitochondria. When we realize that, it changes the interaction of everybody on the planet because it becomes more harmonious between the sexes. And that in and of itself, a woman feel like she being flirted with even when ain't nobody else around and she start to blush because she walking in that energy that would make anybody want to flirt.
Never. Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. So this Babylonian energy, who and what is Babylonian? Let's go there.
This is the biblical source of all evil on earth.
Mm.
They tell you that in the Bible. In the book of Daniel, it would tell you all of the Babylonian empires. The biblical scholars say that the feat of iron and clay is America. Right? So now you got to go cross stories in Priest Temple. If you know the story of the Bible well enough, you can match it up with the other priest stories in order to access information. Right? The Babylonian government ranking system that they had, they say we are iron and clay. Well, who's done? That's hewn from the mountain without the hands of man, but by the power of God. The stone that no workman has touched, right? Who was sealed in the mountain? Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, right? The story say he was sealed in the mountain for 5,000 years. And then some chick come along and set him free. That means the heart is the key. The monkey key is the Congo key because the Congo key is the primate key. And the primate is the perfect mate That's the man that all of the women want, because all of the women want the man that all the other women want. It's the law of nature. They can talk that smack, but they all gonna look at the same direction when the right frequency of the man that they think all the other women in their environment want. Now he become the catch. That's how you create a hierarchy in the community. It's the law of nature acting itself out in the civilized society. So now he driving around in a Cadillac with three-piece suits on in the summertime.
That's it. That's it.
Wearing all the diamonds and gold that he could find in the local jewelry store.
Okay. Yeah, the pawn shop, you know.
With his exotic Canadian perfume Dior cologne for men.
That's it. So,
Right?
yeah. So this Rome, because this has been going on for a long time. So, how initially did they get into power?
Through warfare and infiltration of royal families by inserting children in the place of princes at birth. All the time, they're the bloodline of somebody else. They do it in America now. They kidnap baby chiefs in the hospital and switch them out with somebody that's not like us, and have us raising a child. We can't figure out what his damn problem is. He don't act like nobody in my family. Where they find this SOB? This can't be my child, or they wouldn't act this way. That's not even the energy of his daddy's side of the family. They've been switching babies out the whole time, and they've been telling us they've been switching babies out the whole time. This is why Child Protective Services is the instrumental element of the separation of children from families in order to put the wrong children with families that don't match their frequency in order to corrupt the people of the land on purpose. So now we go through what's called the cleansing period, where the ones who understand how to balance the frequency of all tribes, you can only use one frequency, and that's the love frequency. And if you follow the love frequency, then you activate the love energy in the others. And once that energy is activated, you can't trap love in a box. It don't fit. And the people that walk in the power of that energy becomes unstoppable, because now you're starting to tap in to what's called your esoteric self information, your knowledge of self from your higher self to yourself that no book can tell you about yourself. And then you begin to realize you're reading your personal book of life. So now you understand that the only person knew you well enough for you to live the life you live to become the person you are today, the one you're most proud of, is you. You're the author of your story, and you made it fit in so easily with the stories of others. And the better you is in weaving your story, the higher you move among the rank and the spirit, until you can't be denied, and your love light shine and it lights up the world in the form of arts and entertainment.
Mm. I just got lost in your words. Okay. Wow. So this is deep. Okay. So, especially in our culture, I hate to say this, well, I dislike to say that many cannot wrap their heads around magic, right? Okay.
If they
So,
can't wrap their head around magic, they don't understand prayer.
or cooking. I
Principle,
think
prin- that's alchemy. Cooking is alchemy. Prayer is magic if you expect it to come to reality. The same energy that you put forth the effort in prayer is the same energy you put forth in the effort to manifest. Like magic, out of nothing, you brought something into existence.
That's
But you weaved it in with the elements of three-dimensional reality so well, using the observer effect, everything just so-called fell into place. And it made it easier for you to walk your path.
right. So in listening to what you're saying, basically through religion, right? Many have been told to stay away from magic. It's demonic, it's this and that. When the truth of the matter is, what it sounds like is that they don't want us being knowledgeable about magic because that's the very thing that they're using against us.
Our ignorance of the way magic is applied and how it works is 100% why they was torturing us. So that's why I kind of tell them where they use the magic at, how it worked to oppress us. And once our people understood what happened, that shit don't work on them no more. Their spiritual warrior system kicks in to block that BS out of their life. And this is how you be overthrowing the other system in real time. Right? So the energy is moving as the matriarchal juggernaut is reforming. A collective of clan mothers across the land who had the first right to the earth right, because the mitochondrial of the mother is in the elements that's in the earth. And this is why they say man was formed from the dust of the ground. Man wasn't formed from the dust of the ground. He was formed from the woman who emerged as if from the dust of the ground. She came up like trees in the body of flesh. But so we can conceal her power, we hijack the matrix, right? We send in slimy sluts to infiltrate the sisterhood of the priestesses that's keeping this love in is undefeatable. Realize the purpose of their existence and they walk in it. The dynamic shifts on a dime as a massive paradigm shift. Our people is hard to learn the ways of a lesser frequency. So it make it look like we retarded because it's children's information being forced in an adult manner to us. And it doesn't make sense. It's like a parody. So we begin to reject it, but we don't know why we're rejecting it. So we force ourselves to go along in order to get along. And then you run into people like me.
The great decoder, right?
They knew I was going to be a problem when they saw me coming. They just didn't know how bad it was going to be.
That
And
part.
in the immortal words of Genghis Khan, if they had not been guilty of terrible sins, God would not have sent them a plague such as me.
That's it. So now fast forward, right? Because the people are waking up. Okay.
Yep.
We have your information, which I just am so thankful. There's so many of us that are so thankful for your walk and your spread of information because it is catching on like wildfire. Okay. People, even people who believe in, operate in this system that we call the government, light bulbs are going off. Like, that do make sense. What he's saying makes sense, right? So now moving forward in this time, right? Because as we're clear that spells, right, magic has been used to keep us sleeping in a slumber, going against our intuition for many of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how, from your perspective, is it that we start to deprogram to reprogram ourselves?
It has been an ongoing effort. So if you look, we've built organizations within this government that has risen and failed since they've been here. So it's not the can we build on our own has never been the issue. The problem was that if we stayed under our own vine and fig tree and let the government, they would have been stuck in one geographical location to the east of the Appalachian Mountains. They would have never crossed the mountains. But they took our kindness for weakness and exploited the chiefs, and then they told us a history that was not contrary to what was really taking place on the land. But the way that our